everyone! Today I'm going to give you an update on my project and show you some of my creative process. For those of you following along on YouTube, you can see my previous video explaining the project up here. This one's going to be a little less hyperactive and I'm using my fancy mic, so it's going to be a little bit more radio presentery, but that's because I'm meant to show you stuff and not so much my face. At the end, I'm also going to be doing an in-class performance, so sorry to those of you online who won't be able to see it. Anyway, since the last video presentation, I finished the main songwriting component of my project, which includes the essential elements of the music, the lyrics, and the vocal melodies, and some growls. But you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? If you remember last time, I mentioned having 10 song embryos. The first thing I had to do to move forward from this was select the ones I wanted to work on and assign them more specific topics within my asexuality focus. So I got some opinions from my patrons on Patreon about the music and also categorized some of the issues I wanted to explore into larger topics I might want my songs to address. I then started writing one of the songs, but I realized I should probably make some proper decisions before I got too attached, so I decided to listen to each of the songs and work out which of the topics they might best be suited to. By some accident, I found I'd subconsciously done this in the order of how much I liked each song embryo, so it was easy enough to cut them off halfway down the list, and from there, things pretty much fell into place. Blessed was already about people trying to change me, so ACEF minor had to be about the ace community, so Black Carbon had to be about ignorance and misconceptions. Wormbird only had the sex-saturated society options, so Stained had to focus on medical and psychological attitudes. From here, it's a little tricky to show you how I developed the music side of the songs. Sometimes I worked on the lyrics first, which would give me an idea about how to develop the music. Other times I worked on the music because the lyrics just weren't happening. Within my software, I used a lot of color coding to help visualize the sections. Sometimes I worked out my vocal melodies on MIDI keyboard, other times I recorded myself singing badly in the middle of the night to get an idea down. I also left myself a lot of notes. Every time I worked on a session, I also saved a new file with the date in year, month, day format in case I needed to go back to an earlier version later. So I've essentially got a record of each iteration of the songs as they developed. As for the lyrics development, I've got dated files of them as well, but I generally don't erase any of my ideas because there's always a chance I'm going to want them later, even if it's for a completely different project. You can see some of this here in the lyrics development for Blessed. Up top, we've got my notes on what the song should be about, then you can see the lyrics as I've cleaned them up. But if you keep scrolling down, you see the messy stuff where I've crossed out things, left notes to myself about how to perform different bits, color coding to help me see good and bad ideas, and lists of different words and lines that could rhyme with something I've already decided I'm definitely putting in the song. I use this same strategy for all the other songs in this project. In the past though, I've used a lot more color coding, with green being lyrics I definitely like, blue being good enough, orange not sure, and red for probably shit. But for some reason I didn't find that strategy so useful this time around. Anyway, after a lot of experimenting and driving my family crazy by running around the house making strange noises every time I got frustrated, or when the ice cream truck drove past, I eventually got to a point where the songs were more or less written in terms of the basic music structure and the lyrics. Things had evolved during this process. For example, Stained became much more about one specific psychologist I had for depression, and I also realized I'd used a completely new songwriting style for me, involving an ostinato that just never stops. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how things went, and getting this far is a huge achievement for me after 2 years of musical drought. I'm especially excited that I was able to write much more diverse sounding songs than I have in the past. Maybe the only one that I'm not so happy with is the song about the asexual community, because it comes across as a lot angrier than I meant it to be, but it's hard for me to know because I think I ended up focusing on a particular sub-community I had a problem with, much like the specific psychologist in the other song, and so it's been interesting to see how this process has made me explore old wounds and hopefully work through them. So at this point, with the songwriting done, I recorded all my demo vocals, which is important for me because listening to myself on loop is one of the ways I learn the lyrics to my own songs. But I didn't use this fancy microphone. This one's for when I'm ready to record properly. Instead, I used this slightly battered SM58. I won't go into the technical differences, but the reason I use this for my dodgy recordings is that it's just easier because I can hold it and dance around my room like I'm on stage, and not have to worry about all the things I need to do when I'm recording for real on this static thing. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly how to sing a passage though. Here's an example of me trying out one bit in 3 different ways, which I've written about on my Patreon. Suddenly I find myself surrounded and I can never leave. Tendrils of their influence, a shadow forever haunting me. Suddenly I find myself surrounded and I can never leave. Tendrils of their influence, a shadow forever haunting me. and I've also still managed to learn things about the recording process.
I mean, I can't believe I've had this Mac and Logic Pro 9 for nearly 10 years and I only just found out that you can solve latency by adding an auxiliary track and surround sound before you hit record. How is that even a thing?
So this is pretty much where I'm up to, and I'll play you some sections of the demos in a moment. As for my next steps, other than memorizing the lyrics, I also need to do some production on the music side of things. This generally means polishing up my tracks with some better mixing and effects, and I'll probably also change a few sounds, especially in the drum kits. The immediate goal will be to produce backing tracks that I can perform with, essentially like karaoke, but I should also be able to use these to record proper vocals to for my final submission of the recorded demos, as well as the eventual release post-graduation. Speaking of performing, I've also been to my venue a few times over the past month or so to get a feel for it again. It's actually changed a lot since I last played there. The stage is a lot bigger and they've really improved the setup, which is awesome. And the vibe of the audience for the two events I'm playing at is also really chill, so that's helping me handle my anxiety. It's been about 2 years since I last performed, so yeah, I've been nervous, but the ladies at Chicks with Pics are especially cool, so I think I'll be okay. And now for those song clips! With the time we have left, I'll play the most important parts of the songs for you with some on-screen notes about each. For my YouTube viewers, I'm sorry about the last one. I'll be performing that in class so you won't be able to hear the vocals. Just imagine me in an echoey art studio doing my best to holler without a microphone and you'll get the gist. Assuming I don't chicken out. In which case, imagine me running away and hiding in the bathroom or something.
So now I'm on display for you to prod and pry. You claim I'll meet somebody, I shouldn't be so shy. Or could it be a religion? I should have been a nun. You asked me if something happened when I was very young. Was it a mistake to let you know the boundaries of where I go? And should I dwell on what you say, or is it time to turn away? Well, if I never tried it, how would I ever know? But am I still legitimate if I've given it a go? You want me to fall into self-doubt, locked in your catch-22. But if I split in half now, won't that satisfy you? Stumbling through a nightmare world, the voices gather to squeeze me. Saturation to reaffirm their dedication to feeding. Maybe I can hide away somewhere I can disobey. Everywhere I go, all I see are the symbols of their need, and I feel alone in my mind.
You're shoved in my face in every place to sell me a story I cannot embrace. Demands I comply and torture my eye, but I cannot change myself, so I defy.
So it seems I am broken. He'll declare my words unspoken. This disease repetition of all their words, refocusing on what I avoid. I see the world now turn into Freud, and everybody follows along. Conformity and vision and song, unvaried culture, forever mundane, clones of each other, but I'll break the chains.
I'm just chasing it. Ice cream truck! Where is it?